Hello everybody. So today we are doing not a what if, it's more like a story. It's not like what if this happened, but I'm just going to call it the white fox. Okay? I'm just going to call it that. Anyways, let's get on to the video. Naruto had just had the battle of his life not too long ago. A battle with his so-called best friend Sasuke Uchiha. The two had went at it with so much will and determination to win. In the Valley of the End, it was a miracle neither killed each other somehow. Even Kakashi was surprised by this when he arrived too late. He couldn't find Sasuke, but he did find an unconscious Naruto laying there, bleeding from an open wound to his chest. Kakashi couldn't understand at first why Sasuke used that jutsu to try to kill Naruto. Despite everything those two had been through, the ups and downs, even arguments, Kakashi thought beyond the shadow of a doubt that the two were brothers in arms, no matter what. Naruto's bleeding body being carried by the copy ninja told him otherwise. Kakashi was sent out there also retrieve Sasuke, but arrived too late to do so. If he knew anything for sure, he knew that the council, would find some way of punishing Naruto for all of this. As the silver-haired man finally reached the gates of Konoha, he quickly hurried to the hospital to get Naruto treated. Not to his surprise, most of the retrieval team has been sent to the hospital as well. Shikamaru was waiting on a chair outside of the emergency room when Kakashi came in. When he saw the trail of blood, his heart sank at the thought of how he nearly got his entire team killed. Kakashi brought Naruto to the emergency room, then quickly headed out to inform Tsunade. He dreaded what she would think of all of this. The mission failed, Sasuke as a traitor, and the team outside of Shikamaru nearly killed. She was gonna have a field day with this. As Kakashi was headed to see Lady Hokage, Naruto was being operated on. In his own mind, he played everything out over and over again. Sasuke had tried to kill him more than once, and even came extremely close a few times. If the open wound, nearly a fist-sized hole in his chest, gave off any indication of Sasuke's motivation, Naruto couldn't even believe how far his teammate has fallen in the quest for power and revenge. It was sickening to the blonde how much Sasuke praised for him to shove it back in everyone's face. How could he do that to the village that bent over backwards for him? He just threw it all away for some revenge plan? In Naruto's opinion, that was very foolish mindset, throwing away everything for revenge. Hey kid, that deep voice rang through his ears again like before. It sounded less sinister this time though. Almost calming really. Open your eyes, kid. Naruto did as he was told and slowly opened his eyes with some strain. When he fully opened them, he focused and saw... I'm sorry, my throat is really dry. He saw that he was in some kind of sewer with some kind of a large gate in front of him, though it wasn't the surrounding gate or the gate that made the blonde wide-eyed. No, it was the thing inside of the gate. A large red fox, the nine-tailed fox, also known as the key. Naruto immediately leapt onto his feet to realize that the floor was mainly water. He looked at the fox with fear plastered on his face, yet stopped when he noticed the look in the fox's eyes. It wasn't the look of a demon who carves destruction and death, but just a being who looked concerned for him. You can relax, kid. The fox started to in the regular tone, light tone. First, I need to make something sure. Naruto has a full chibi in this. I'm just letting you know. Where was I? You know something, kid? If you hadn't have jumped and there, you would have died. You know that, right? Naruto relaxed when he heard the fox's word. It was true. If he hadn't stepped in, then he would have been dead from that Chidori through the test. So, Naruto started with a confusion. Why did you save me then? The fox still had a saddened look to its face, as it thought of the answer to that question for a bit. True, if Naruto died, then it would be die. But for the fox, there was more to it than that. A somewhat deeper connection of sorts that it's never felt with any of its vessels before. A sorrow that can be felt with the both of them, while also a small ray of hope as well. It connected the two together in a way that even it didn't understand. I'm sorry, guys. My throat is dying from talking this much, but I'm fine. Don't worry. I'm not even almost done with the script anyways. With a sigh, the fox lowered its head and at her gaze. It gazed away from Naruto. The blonde didn't know why, but he could feel sorrow coming from the fox spirit. Well, whatever the reason, Naruto started causing the fox to wince, thinking that the jailer would do what the others would do. Thank you. The nine-tailed fox opened its eyes quickly and turned to Naruto, surprised that the boy thanked it. Before it could say anything, Naruto felt himself waking from wherever he was or whatever he was. He faded away from the fox and left it to ponder just what kind of vessel Naruto was and how different he was from the others. For any sign of a doctor or any of his friends in the room, to his surprise, there was no one there to watch him. This reminded him about his childhood whenever he was sent to the hospital by Anbu. Whenever he would wake up, there was no one there to check on him or if he was okay in any way. Now was feeling quite vaguely like before. Naruto decided to get off bed and move a bit to loosen his stiff muscles. Who knows just how long he was passed out? He moved his arms and legs a bit to get some feeling back into them before he was heading to the window to see the village. It was another bright sunny day in Konoha. People were going about their daily lives as if nothing bad has happened. Naruto was at least happy to see the people weren't going off and their precious Sasuke being a traitor. Though, with Naruto knowledge of how the villagers tend to act, the blame was probably going to be put on him somehow. As Naruto leaned down, I'm sorry, my throat is dying. My brain is all over the place. It is 4:44 a.m. right now. Okay. Naruto decided to get off to bed to loosen up his muscles. Blah, 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 blah. That's a chain. Naruto leaned on the windowsill. He failed to hear the door open, and a masked Anbu entered. The Anbu was a woman in a Neko mask with purple hair that was tied up. With the moment she saw Naruto was up, now she was visibly tense. She knew what her job was to do, and dreaded every bit of it. Taking a deep breath, the Anbu spoke. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto turned to see her standing in the doorway and jumped a bit from the sudden appearance in the room. As soon as you are available, your presence is needed in the council meeting. Before Naruto could say an okay, the Anbu was gone in a shinshin. That was a red flag right there. Naruto decided to shrug it off and get himself ready to be yelled at by the council yet again. He didn't hate the council, surprisingly enough. He just hated they blamed him for so many things that of the village. A few of them have even taken part in previously annual fox hunt years ago. When Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage, those were dark days that Naruto were glad that were long behind him. It took a while, but Naruto was finally able to get out of the hospital and get some of his comfortable clothes. His jacket and that he wore when he arrived was shredded now, so he just tied around his waist while wearing his normal clothes, and headband around his neck to hide some bandages. As Naruto left the hospital and took in the fresh air, he also couldn't help but think more than a few eyes were on him. Wasn't an uncommon thing to the blonde, but he hasn't felt like people were staring at him with hate for a while now. As he walked down to get the Hokage Tower, he felt as if he was a child again, with the way he actually saw people looking at him. Deciding to shrug it off, Naruto just continued on to get over with and get some ramen later on. He would have to talk to his friends and Sensei later unless he ran into them at some point. I can't believe that demon brat let Sasuke leave, one person whispered to another as Naruto passed them. I know. If anything, I wish the Uchiha could have killed that monster and get us all of it. Get rid of all of it, another whispered. When I heard that he was still somehow alive, I lost to Uchiha. I just wanted to smother that little demon for it, another whispered. Well, he's hurt now, so why don't we just finish him off? Because that old bitch of a Hokage would have executed it. Sorry, there's cussing in this. Seeing that demon walking around, knowing that he's the reason Sasuke is lost, makes me so mad. The whispers were starting to get a little louder. Now Naruto could hear as clear as day. He should die. It's all his fault. That demon should just disappear. Something like him shouldn't exist in our village. Maybe we should do another fox hunt this year. Naruto's happy mood shifted to a depressed when he heard those vicious comments, and he hadn't heard in nearly a year. He had long since thought that maybe the villagers were starting to look at him as a ninja and started to respect him in the slightest. But with one act, that was no more. Naruto didn't want to hear anymore. He just ran off to get to the meeting over with and go home to rest. The council meeting. Sorry about the weird cut. The Shinobi Council hated hearing them, too. He turned to the Civil Council and saw their satisfied looks and disgusted glares as he processed this whole thing. You have until 10 a.m. tomorrow to pack all your things and leave the village, or you'll be met with force, Tsunade said as she looked away from his sad eyes. Those eyes would haunt her in her dreams for the rest of her life now. Naruto still couldn't say anything. He just couldn't. There was still no words to describe his feelings. The emptiness he had long thought was filled with a blank. Once again, holding back tears, Naruto turned slowly as he walked back towards the door and left the room. Tsunade wanted to go and console him, but was stopped by one of the elders with the bandages on his face. She could only watch as Naruto's world came crashing down around him over the sake of the traitorous brat. As Naruto wailed with the same wide-eyed look back to his rat hole of a home, his mind still couldn't process all of it. What just happened, he thought to himself. First the villagers were back to talking down to him, and now he was banished because he failed to bring back a traitor? He was loyal to this village for his entire life. He stayed here with the hope one day becoming Hokage and earning everyone's respect. No matter how hard beatings, the near deaths, the tortures he went through, or any other harsh treatment he had from these people, he always was loyal. Then one failed mission to bring back the villagers' restless, loyal Uchiha, and he was banished. That made no sense to him in the slightest. He walked on with his sniff and still shocked depression. He could still hear the villagers bashing him of various insults and hurtful remarks towards him. One word kept coming up: demon. That word was said to him for as long as he remembered. That word carried too much volume in how much it hurt him to be called a demon when he'd done nothing to truly hurt anyone was the worst part of all. As he finally made his way home, he went up to the room and closed the door. After he did that, he slumped to the floor in tears. He held in where let out a scream. Why? Why did this happen to me? He thought to himself as he continued to sob in his hands. Why? Because of me. The deep voice was back and quickly got into Naruto's attention. He noticed he was back in the sewer again. He looked up at the fox and saw it, and sad an expression on his face. I'm so sorry, Naruto. If it wasn't for me, then this village wouldn't have treated you like this. The voice was getting lighter and a little higher now. If only I was someone else, if only it didn't have to be you, then you could have lived a normal life. Its voice started just sounding higher pitch, almost feminine. Like, it's all my fault, and you're suffering for it because it's no. Before he could continue, Naruto stopped her. You're a girl? Actually, never mind. He stopped when he realized her actual. Sorry, I'm making Karama a girl. I don't care. She realized her actual voice came out with a sigh. She nodded. Yes, I am Naruto. I have been my entire life. She looked down in shame, almost died. Not important. I don't know why I wrote this, to be honest. I don't. That's not important now. What is important is that I'm sorry, and I don't think any of the never mind. For the horrible things I've caused to happen your entire, because you belong concealed inside of you. It's all my fault that you're getting kicked out of your home. Naruto stopped his sobbing and phrased, your home? He thought about this moment. You know, I used to look in the windows of these people's houses when I was younger. He looked back at him. I remember I always looked at how the parents would treat their kids with love and compassion. He continued. I wanted something like that. I wanted to feel that warmth, but from others, I was a 5-year-old living on the streets with people from other villages looking down at and beating me just for exiting. He took a few breaths before continuing. I thought at the time that everyone was like this in the world but then the first time I ever truly left this village and I went to the wave, I saw how wrong I was. Those people, Tazuna, Inari, and his mother, they all treated me with kindness, even before I helped save them from Gato. He looked back to him. He was surprised by the look of determination back in his eyes. I think now I get it. Get what, Naruto? Said Ninetales. He's actually not. Forget what I said earlier. He's not gonna be a boy. He's not gonna be a girl. I'm sorry. I just don't know what to do. I'm reading my script and I don't know why I wrote this. Okay. I've been recording for 25 minutes straight, but blah blah blah. He stood up and wiped away his tears before looking back up to her. Him. Sorry. I really need to change this. That a place where everyone constantly hurts you, it's no home at all. The fox chuckled a bit before speaking to him again. So what are you gonna do now, kid? Naruto smiled up at him and answered, I'm gonna leave this village forever and become stronger than anyone and crave out my own destiny far away from this hell. He smiled at him and stood up on his haunches. His legs. Naruto got full look of him as he stood up. Then, to atone for the pain I've caused to you all your life, I'll do whatever I can to help you, Naruto. You smiled at him. Thanks. I still don't know what to call you, though. He smiled again at him, leaned down. For now, just call me Kyuubi. With that, Naruto smiled at the Kyuubi. Before he was returned to his home, his resolve was strengthened, and he stood up, looking around for his horrible room. Naruto decided it was time he grabbed a backpack and started to fill up with clothes, equipment for himself, before glancing at the windows. To his surprise, it was now nighttime, and the full moon was out. He also spotted lanterns and heard people cheering for something. Upon closer inspection, he could tell that word of the banishment must have gotten out by the villagers were celebrating. That was the last straw, and that was when Naruto, with a shadow of doubt that this place was never home. Now in disgust, Naruto decided to pull a last prank on this village for all the suffering and pain they put him through. It took some time and a lot of sneaking around to do, but Naruto was finally able to set up an explosive tags around his home and fireworks and the festival. Before he lit them, he had a few things to do. First, he was dropping off his headbands that Iruka gave him since he was banished now. He wouldn't need it anymore. He dropped it off at the academy with a note on it. Had a few things to do. First was dropping off Iruka's headband he gave him. Since he was banished now, he wouldn't need it anymore. He dropped it off at the academy and wrote a note next to it. Last thing he wanted to do was confront his former sensei about the whole thing. Next was the necklace Tsunade gave him. His dream was becoming Hokage now died, so he might as well return it to her desk as well. To his surprise, she wasn't in her office, nor was anyone else, so he left it along with the note as well. Last was the necklace Tsunade. Last was to seeing his friends one last time. There was a mistake. He searched for them to only find a few were actually at the festival. Sakura, Ino, Shoji, Shikamaru, Kiba, Shino, Tenten, and Neji and Lee were even there. They seemed to enjoy themselves. There was a fox festival. Unaware that said fox boy was watching them. That was it. There was no other reason to stay in this place anymore. Naruto gritted his teeth and activated both tags of the fireworks and watched as everybody panicked. It was satisfying to see the angered and confused faces on the people one last time. With that, Naruto left the area and went to the gate. He had no idea where he was going or what he was going to do, but one thing he was for sure: he would never return to this village. He would keep his promise to become stronger than anyone. With Kyuubi's help, he can live free and happy. With that thought in mind, Naruto left the village to make a name for himself and carve his own destiny. Well, that was part 1 of this. So I just want to thank you all so much. I love you guys so much. And gourmet chef quiz. Of course, I love my gourmet chef quiz. And apparently I don't know how to talk today. I'm sorry. And if my voice changed throughout this video, there's a reason. I was taking breaks in between because my throat is dying. Okay. Anyways, I'll try to make more uploads. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, guys.